The Age of Innocence is a very beautiful and very sad book. It feels like one of those songs that are equal parts melody and melancholy. The kind of song you replay because it hurts so good. I discerned four layers of sadness that, if examined, might help us to pinpoint the cause of sadness in our own lives. First, there's the sadness of Archer's society, one that was caged in by conventions of implicitly agreed to notions of things to do and things not to do, like what time you arrive at the opera so as to not appear unfashionable. And they adhered to these notions as devotedly as any pre-scientific culture did to their superstitions. Archer had opinions and points of view that he was certain were superior to the average man in his circle. Yet he was always afraid to strike out on his own, and ended up with the proper punishment of being just like everybody else. Trapped in what Ellen described as the real loneliness, living among all these kind people who only ask one to pretend. Then there's the sadness of Archer's relationship with his wife, one to which neither of them brought their true self. The narrator hints at their doom in these early lines. What could he and she really know of each other, since it was his duty, as a decent fellow, to conceal his past from her, and hers, as a marriageable girl, to have no past to conceal. But the final condemnation is pronounced by their son, when he describes Archer and May's marriage in these devastating words. "You never did ask each other anything, did you? And you never told each other anything. You just sat and watched each other and guessed at what was going on underneath. A deaf and dumb asylum." Third is the sadness of Archer's relationship with Ellen, the one person who he showed up as himself to, but only in secret. They were so close, but might as well have been on different sides of the world. She became his maladaptive muse, the center of his inner world that ate away at his outer world, his obsession and his obstacle. He had built up within himself a kind of sanctuary in which she throned among his secret thoughts and longings. Little by little, it became the scene of his real life, of his only rational activities. Thither he brought the books he read, the ideas and feelings which nourished him, his judgments and his visions. Outside it, in the scene of his actual life, he moved with the growing sense of unreality and insufficiency, blundering against familiar prejudices and traditional points of view, as an absent-minded man goes on bumping into the furniture of his own room. The greatest sadness, however, is the sadness of Archer's relationship with himself. At the end of the novel, we find a man that never fully blossomed. A promising plant slowly overpowered and choked by the weeds of the world. Fears he wouldn't face, assumptions he wouldn't test, passions he wouldn't pursue. And in the end, his friends all faded, each to their own path. His wife had passed away. His dream dried up like dew. He sat alone and reflected on his life. Now the spectacle was before him in its glory, and as he looked out on it, he felt shy, old-fashioned, inadequate, a mere gray speck of a man compared with the ruthless, magnificent fellow he had dreamed of being. The Age of Innocence speaks to the longings we all share for love, for being our best self, for the feeling of being fully alive, and warns us that it is often we ourselves who stand in the way of our own happiness.